What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. My name is Brad. As you can see, my co-host Miguel is not here with me tonight, but I wanted to hop on here real briefly because I just got back from seeing Spider-Man No Way Home for the second time, and some things stuck out at me after this watch. First of all, this was in a smaller theater with a smaller audience, much more intimate experience than the first viewing, which was in a packed theater with hundreds of people screaming, laughing, gasping together, which is amazing. It's an amazing experience in and of itself. But this time, the initial excitement and the jitteriness of seeing it for the first time had kind of passed. So you can really pay attention to new things and absorb much more of the entire film as a whole. Now, I had just as much fun seeing it this time on the second watch as I did on the first watch. I adore this movie. Still, without any question for me, it's a 10 out of 10. I really feel like each of the returning actors from the Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man universes were genuinely thrilled to bring these characters back to life. Jamie Foxx's Electro was genuinely funny. It didn't feel forced or overdone like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did. In that version, it was like they were really trying to sell the fact that he was a nerdy guy and he was odd. And even as the blue Electro, it just didn't feel organic enough for me. But in Spider-Man No Way Home, he was honestly one of my favorite characters. A lot of the comedy really landed in this film, and they did a great job. Jamie Foxx was amazing. Sandman and Lizard were great additions, although they didn't really hold the same weight as Goblin or Doc-Ock or Electro did. I actually really like Thomas Hayden Church and wish that we could have seen more of him in his human form. My one issue with the Flint Marko / Sandman character is that his motivation seems strange in this film. I would have thought that he wanted nothing more than to get home to his daughter, and he and Tobey's Peter kind of make up at the end of Spider-Man 3. So I just felt like, what real motivation did he have for turning on Peter in the first place? I mean, he was confused and he was scared, but that was something that kind of just didn't add up for me. Alfred Molina as Doc-Ock really managed to transfer all of the mannerisms and the traits into this portrayal of the character. The scene between Tobey's Peter and Octavius where they kind of reunite, plus the snippet of Danny Elfman's original score, legit makes me tear up when I see it. Again, one of my favorite parts of the entire film. And speaking of villains, we have got to tip our hats to Willem Dafoe for his portrayal of the Green Goblin in this film. I mean, he was iconic enough in the Raimi trilogy, but good lord, he took it to a whole new level in No Way Home. I mean, he was knocking on the door of Heath Ledger's Joker, and I do not say that lightly, because Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight is one of, if not my favorite performance of all time by an actor. The way he pulled off that split personality, sinister, psychotic performance was magical for me. I don't think it could have been done any better. My one gripe, though, is that I really wish that we would have gotten more of a moment between Norman Osborn and Tobey Maguire's Peter. I just think it would have really made everything pop a little bit more for me. And we kind of talked about this in Monday night's live show, but I do hope that Tobey and Andrew have a future within the MCU because I adored the dynamic between all three Peters in this film. Seeing them share their own experiences with each other, it was fantastic, man. Their love lives, the difficulties of balancing life as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man, the web shooter, or in Tobey's case, the lack thereof, fighting their past villains, talking about Venom. It was amazing in every way. Some of my favorite moments in the movie were just the three of them kind of talking and sharing their own experiences and ideas with each other. My only hope is that if you're going to use them well. Make their characters hold weight. They should have an impact on this larger multiversal story, which I honestly believe is heading towards Secret Wars. I do think that we will see them again because I genuinely believe that the fake out stabbing scene where Norman stabs Tobey at the end of the film was originally meant to be his death scene. And that was probably changed during reshoots of the film when they realized that Tobey and Andrew would be willing to come back for future MCU projects. And it's important to remember that this is just speculation on my part. None of this is actually confirmed. Another thing that I really loved about this movie was the beautiful chemistry between Peter and MJ. Originally, I thought it was kind of a strange dynamic in Spider-Man Homecoming, but it's really grown on me. I think that Tom Holland and Zendaya really have a great natural chemistry, and it translates on screen in a really nice way. You know, Peter's love life is such an important piece of Spider-Man's story. And as I've said before, Homecoming and Far From Home fell a little flat for me, partially because I felt like his love life was on the back burner. It wasn't really front and center, but in No Way Home, it's such an integral piece of the plot. And I really appreciated that. And I really appreciated how much they pushed their story and their narrative forward. And it makes Peter's sacrifice so much more impactful at the end of the film. And I've said it once and I will say it again. Peter's decision at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home to let Strange go through with the spell is the single most Spider-Man thing that any iteration of the character has ever made. And to take it even a step further, It's possibly the most selfless decision that any superhero has ever made in any film. As Miguel said in our review, he chose a path that's much, much worse than death. In Endgame, Tony died to save the universe, which is a huge sacrifice in and of itself. But in No Way Home, Peter is choosing to live a life of solitude. He has no friends. He has no family. He can't go to school, as we saw at the end of the film when he's got the GED book in the apartment while he's making the new suit and trying to figure out his life alone. He chose the loneliest existence that any person could have. He made the hardest judgment call, one that affected him in a terrible way, all for the good of others, and that is Spider-Man. That is the embodiment of that character, at least in my eyes. Now, my current thought is that there has to be some kind of payoff in the next trilogy, post Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I feel like Strange will somehow remember or realize who Peter is, but in order for us as the audience to feel that this arc comes full circle, I feel like MJ and Ned have to figure it out at some point. Now, I was talking to my brother-in-law as we walked out of the theater, and he brought up a really good point. In the comics, Tony Stark convinces Peter Parker to reveal his identity during the events of Civil War. But in Spider-Man One More Day, which is one of the most controversial comic arcs in all of Marvel lore, Peter enlists the help of none other than Mephisto, a demon that rules over hell within the Marvel Universe. I think that if Peter did reveal himself to be Spider-Man to MJ and Ned, maybe they would remember, thus making the spell void for them and them only, but that seems way too easy. I think that Marvel Studios is going to milk this part of the story for a while, although I have a feeling that there must be some kind of payoff for that wait. MJ and Ned and Happy have to remember everything that they've been through with Peter up to this point. We all know this was an absolutely incredible movie, an incredible build-up, an incredible ride, and I know we're all super stoked to know where Spidey goes in the next chapter as well. But guys, that is going to do it for me. New episodes of Let's Talk Movies and Purely and Simply Evil premiere every single Monday and Saturday at 8 p.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at We Talk the Movies. Be sure to leave this video a like, and we will see you next time. Peace.